I was watching, well, yesterday I watched a video from my friend, Living on a Dime to Grow Rich. And she was talking about this thing, and then today I watched another video from a prepper, and he was talking about the same thing. Of course, when he talked about it, I was terrified after watching his video, because that's what he does. He tries to scare everybody to death to make them understand that, you know, the end of the world's coming. I really don't like preppers when they do that. Now, my friend, she put it towards a more realistic approach, although I still didn't like the outcome of what she was talking about. And so before I get into that, just imagine that our government is going to make financial decisions more difficult for us, where we won't be able to make these decisions on their own. They're going to make them for us. So I Googled what they were talking about. I don't know, they made it sound like it was the greatest thing in the world, and that the world was going to change for the better, and we were all going to smell roses and butterflies and unicorns and, you know, all the wonderful things. But then when I actually read the bill, or the proposal, I guess it's not a bill, they're not actually voting on it. This is just something the administration is just going to do. Or the feds, I guess it's the Federal Reserve. I started reading it, and it was so confusing that there's just no way to understand it. What I do know is they're going to charge you to have money for it. So I'm going to explain all this in a bit and try to understand and try to help me and you understand what it is they're going to do. But before I do that, a lot of people will say you need to get your money out of cash or whatever, banks, savings accounts, and you need to invest it in gold or silver. And I'm about 85% on board with that. Well, I have never seen such a thing in my life. Somebody's going to report me, I'm sure, but this is just really cool. So there's two turtles getting ready to have babies, I guess. I've never seen that. That's really neat. I'm going to walk around them so I don't disturb them. I showed Frenchie, my rooster, doing the same thing to a hen, and somebody sure enough reported me. Grow up! It's not a kids channel. Gold and silver. The problem with gold and silver is it still fluctuates. And you lose money on gold when you buy it. I mean, you got to buy it from somebody. They charge a certain amount. So let's say, just for hypothetical purposes, that you're going to buy $1,000 worth of gold. Now, you expect the gold prices to continue to go up, and over history they have. It's like the stock market. It goes up and down, but it tends to go up more than down. And it's a little bit more stable than the stock market, I suppose. But when you buy it, the company you buy it from is going to charge you money for it. So you buy $1,000 worth of gold, but you're going to end up spending, I don't know, $1,500. I don't know if it's that much, but let's just call it $1,500, nice round numbers. It could be $1,100, who knows? So now you have automatically lost money on your gold purchase. So even before you can sell your gold has to get up to $1,500. So how long is that going to take? Is it going to take a year, 10 years, 15 years? And then the big thing is let's say you need money right away, you need to buy something. But gold prices have went down. Let's say it went down to $900. So you've invested $1,500 for $900 return. So although gold's okay in a pinch, it's not the best thing to invest in. Gold and silver, they're all the same. I mean, if you could find gold on the ground, boy, that's great, because that's just free money. But buying it, although you have something tangible you can hang on to that is not regulated by the government, although I will say that gold has been regulated by the government in the past. During the Depression and World War II, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, I don't know if it was him or Congress or who it was, made gold illegal. You couldn't own no more than a certain amount. So you could own like a wedding ring and that kind of stuff. But if you had any more invested, you know, like an investment, you couldn't have that. So, and that's how Fort Knox became a thing. Well, then later, back in the 70s, we got off the gold standard. Cash is not tied to anything. So now, this is how inflation hits us so hard, because the government can just start printing money, and it's not backed by anything but a promise. We promise that we're going to pay it back. Well, over time, the promise has become worthless. So now we have inflation, and it's just a mess. So in a pinch, gold would do okay. Gold's okay if you intend to invest it for a retirement plan. I'll go along with that, just like the stock market. It's okay. The better thing about gold over the stock market is gold is not likely to crash like the stock market does about every 10, 15 years. So you got all this money invested in the stock market, it crashes, you're about ready to retire, and now you got to work another 10 years because you don't have any retirement. Whereas gold, that wouldn't happen. Gold tends to go up more than it goes down. Well, Carolyn and I have said in the past that in a pinch, we would go and buy gold. But it's not what we want to do. What we have decided is we're going to invest in ourselves. Things that are tangible to us, things that we need. And I just think this is a better plan. Food. So if we just went out and bought a bunch of food and canned it all, a bunch of meat, went out and bought all the pork in the store, and we took all our savings and we put it in food, we are guaranteed to make money on that food, because food is only going to go up. Inflation never comes down, it always goes up. So let's say I buy hamburger today, $3 a pound. I buy $10,000 worth. In 2 or 3 years, hamburger prices could go up to $5 a pound, and then $6 a pound, $7 a pound. Well, my hamburger was still, what did I say, $3 a pound? So I'm eating 5 years from now much more cheaply than what I could buy food at the store with. So when you look at it in that kind of aspect, you're saving a ton of money. You're basically saving $3 to $5, $2 per every meal. So that's money you can put in your pocket for the rest of your life. It's a huge savings. It ensures that if anything bad happens, you got food. The other thing we decided to invest in is chickens, because we can feed our chickens off our property. I told you how we do that. We grow, well, right now we bought sunflower seeds, but next year we're going to grow sunflower seeds. And we got 2 50-pound bags, which will last us 2 years in case something goes wrong. That way we get to experiment for a little bit. So then Carolyn can change a 50-pound bag of sunflower seeds into a 200-pound bag simply by letting it sprout. Now, I've showed you that before. She puts in a bottle, a little bit of water. It's not a complicated process. You drain the water out, and you do that for 3 or 4 days a week, every day. You put water in it, drain it out, and then it sprouts, and then you give that sprouts to the chickens, and it's, I don't know, 24% protein, 26% protein. Then you just give them grass, the weeds in the yard. That gives them the rest of their needs, the rest of their dietary needs, except for calcium. And then all you got to do with calcium is just keep refeeding them the chicken eggs, the shells. Carolyn crushes them up every day. So now we have an investment that's just always going to be producing for us, and that's free food. Beyond the purchase of the chickens, we incubate the eggs. So now we just have to have the infrastructure to grow that many chickens. Bigger chicken coop, bigger chicken runs, which really isn't that much money. And that'll pay for itself pretty quickly as food prices continue to go up, especially since feeding the chickens for us is free. So based on these videos that I just watched, and then Carolyn looked things up and I looked things up, and it just sounds scary. Now what it's called Fed Now. And what they're gonna do is take away all cash. And everything's going to go to digital money, basically, if I understand it correctly. Instead of having cash on hand or a debit card where the bank controls not your purchases, but controls the money and distributes it, and it has the infrastructure to handle all that. The bank makes money off of it with a 10 cents fee, and it's all handled pretty smoothly. With cash, of course, you can buy anything with cash. Kid down the street wants to mow your yard, give him cash. But with digital currency, all the money transactions goes through the Fed somehow or another. There's still a bank, but the Fed's going to make all the money. So that 10 cents transaction fee, apparently you have to pay now. So every time you want to buy something, you got to spend 10 cents, and there's a penny for something else, and then there's a $25 deposit fee. So it's going to be pretty costly to buy things. It's just an extra tax it sounds really scary, especially when you watch the prepper. Now, when you watch my friend, it still sounded scary, but I don't know, I guess she put some honey on it. It sounded a little better. But what she said is a little bit more terrifying than anything if you really think about it. It doesn't bother me because I'm prepared for it. What she was saying is when they do this and they decide that what you're doing is wrong, they can actually stop you from buying. So let's say they give you an allowance of your own money of $50 to go buy meat that week, and you go out and spend $60. Well, then they can shut you down from buying meat for the rest of the month or whatever, as punishment for buying too much meat. Gas is another one. Of course, they all want us to buy electric cars. So if you go out and buy gas and they give you an allowance of $50 and you go out and spend $100, they can just say, no, you're not going to buy any more gas for, a month. You went over your allotment. Or they can just shut you off. And so gas is kind of concerning to me because, we run the generators. Of course, I got the propane generator also. I don't know if they will regulate propane, because that's a heat source. Barbecue pits, doesn't seem likely that that's what they're going to regulate, but they could. But then there's just this no cash transaction. So like I want to buy some firewood. Well, all these guys require cash for firewood. Now, I guess what they're doing is illegal, if you really think about it. They're cutting down firewood, they bring it out to you, they say $300 for firewood. You give them cash. Well, that's under the table. They don't collect taxes on that. So the government sees these holes in the tax laws. So this is what they're trying to stop, is that kid who comes out to cut your grass for $10, they want to tax him. The government is in such huge financial debt, and they're not bringing enough money in, that they got to do something. They got to control the bleeding. We all knew it was going to happen. So again, what I would suggest is go out and start raising chickens or ducks or rabbits or whatever is convenient for you. For those who make excuses that they can't do it for whatever reason, then you're just going to be stuck with what the government gives you. If they want you to eat vegetables, that's what you're going to eat. I don't want to live that way. I've told you from the very beginning, I'm going to try to etch out as much freedom as I possibly can, even though they're trying to take it away from us. And every time they make a move, I make a counter move for myself. I mean, you need to go out and vote. Okay, well, we all go out and vote all the time, and it doesn't seem to help. So if you'll click that super thanks button down there, I'd really appreciate it. I hope I can inspire you to etch out your own freedom so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.